Hello everyone, thank you for joining Ancient and Modern Weapons. Today we're going to be doing a video of a breakdown of how my CZ pistol broke. Enjoy the video. On the next clip we have one of the strangest things I've ever witnessed, okay? So let's get going here. So my guest was firing the gun at this point, okay? So this was still the CZ 2075 Rami. And when they were firing the firearm, you can see like when we're watching them fire it, it looked like they were limp wristing a little bit. So limp wristing is when you fire the handgun and your wrist is not firm, so it's actually reciprocating a lot. And so you're actually slowing the momentum of the slide down because you're absorbing the energy that the slide needs to reciprocate and grab the next round and put it to the chamber. So you can see that the first 4 rounds went out without a hitch. Between rounds 4 and 5, there's a long gap because round 5 had actually come at a steep angle and got lodged oddly into the firearm. So the slide actually came forward and hit the side of the projectile. So we quickly cleared that, put a new round in the chamber, got to shooting. Rounds 5, 6, and 7 went on perfectly. And then we have a huge gap from there because something was happening with the trigger. We made sure everything was safe. We took it back, cleared the gun, make sure everything was fine. It seemed to be like right after I took it, like just did a quick clear check, make sure magazine was out, everything was good. Put the last 2 rounds back in, fired the last 2 rounds. But apparently when my guest was firing the firearm, they had shot a rock. And these rocks aren't like normal rocks where it's like really hard and things like that. It's like where you shoot it and it'll ricochet or anything like that. It's like a hard sediment of rocks, you know what I mean? So when you shoot it, it like dustifies or pretty much disintegrates. So when they fired the pistol, the 9mm, the round had actually struck one of the rocks, sending a pebble the size of a airsoft BB or P through the air off of the shooter, bouncing off of the shooter into the firearm between rounds. So it had actually caused that bullet to force its way up instead of going into the chamber because something was below it, which is the oddest thing ever. It gets worse. Okay, so that pebble bounced around in the gun. We cleared that first malfunction. Then it had fallen to the trigger, so it would not allow the trigger to reset unless you kind of muscled it a little bit, which generally you're going to squeeze the trigger pretty hard to get it going. So it was just a little more weird. The shooter immediately understood something was wrong, took the precautionary steps to make sure none of us got injured. So that was good part on them. Moved off the firing line, make sure we cleared it. So right after that, we're like, okay, there's a trigger reset problem, something malfunctioned, the trigger spring or something popped out, or at worst, I'm gonna have to send it back to CZ and they can fix it for me. Not right. So normally, yeah, it reciprocates, perfectly. The rounds sit below here in the magazine, and when the chamber gets opened, the round gets pushed up into the barrel. So normal, everything there. Then the pebble had come in from the top as the shooter, bouncing off the shooter somewhere, going into the open barrel at the time, open slide, dropping in next to the round, and then getting bounced around after we cleared that round, moving right in front of the trigger. I'll show you a picture. And right in front of the trigger, okay? So right above the trigger, actually, in between the takeout pin and the actual trigger mechanism. So the firearm could not reciprocate. It was locked in not quite the rear position, but almost there. So just before the release of the actual hammer. So we couldn't even release the hammer. It just said, no, we're not doing that. Because it had never actually reset forward to be able to release the hammer, but the hammer was stuck in the locked position or in the rear position. So that was really odd. So I actually had to pop out the takedown pin and force the slide off of the receiver. And when upon doing so, the rock actually broke into more pieces, into pretty much two halves with other dust and sandy particles in there. And it fell out into my hand when I took apart the gun. I'm like, are you serious? Like, how did a pebble that size get lodged in the gun? We made sure we did not drop anything. Nothing was near the ground. So it's crazy how that could possibly get in there while the shooter was shooting. So that is one of the strangest things I have ever seen. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to be notified when new videos drop. And always remember, you're living the history of tomorrow, so go out there and make history. Peace out.